on, the index is set to win log beat, and the time range is set up correctly. So if you remember, guys, you're given a set of logs where you're required to hunt for threats. Log event. Underscore ID. Okay, so win log event, we're gonna add it to the columns. And here we're gonna search with win log . One. Here we hunt for process creation events. Let's see how many events we can pull. Okay, we pull around 717 events. Okay, that's perfect. The next thing we want to do is to look for the processes that were spawned because of the process creation. So we can use and then in the process name, we can use the process name . Now we're going to put the list of the processes that we think the attackers may use to discover hosts or enumerate the current compromised host. This is the list, and enumerate the current compromise. Host. This is the list, and it is taken from here. And we're going to update, see how many events we have. Okay, we have around 36 hits. Now we're going to add the relevant columns here to facilitate the process of investigation. That's how we're going to use username, we add host name, we add host name, and we're gonna add the process information such as the process command line, how it was executed, the process executable, the process name, the process information such as the process command line, how it was executed, the process executable, the process name, and the parent process command line. Also add the parent process name, and most importantly, we're going to sort in an ascending order because we want to establish a chain of a timely chain of events. So we start with, as you can see, the process name here, or the parent process is CMD. As you can see, through CMD, whoami was executed to retrieve the current username on the machine. And as you can see, the username that executed this command was Bill Hawkins. So based on that, we can be seen that Bill Hawkins has executed multiple enumeration tools. We have whoami, we have ipconfig, and all of them were spawned by the CMD. So we know that system administrators may use these tools to retrieve information about the host. That's why we're gonna have to dig deeper on the use of this process. How? We're gonna need to find out what is the parent process of the command line processor here. So we're gonna modify the command here and look for, let's see here, win log event. We are still with winlog event ID _1 and process. We're gonna use the process ID here this time. So let's retrieve the process ID of CMD. So we're gonna drill down here and scroll down. Process name, the parent process ID is this. We're gonna have the parent process ID. So the process PID is 6324. If we update now, we have 2 hits. Now we want to look at the parent process. As you can see, we have now the events focused on the process CMD. To find out the parent process, we can look at the parent process name column. We can see it is PowerShell, and we can also locate the exact command that spawned CMD process. As you can see, it's a PowerShell process to download a text file from this domain name. Previously, we confirmed that that was a C2 server. In the previous video. So now we can confirm that the commands that were executed earlier to retrieve system information were malicious in nature. They were executed by a malicious process. That's the original malicious process. Now let's see if there's a question to answer regarding this section. What's the name of the account seen to be executing host enumeration commands on DC01? Let's go back to the previous query, which lists the host enumeration commands. We want the account that executed the host enumeration commands on DC01. So we're gonna have to narrow down the results to the host name that is DC01. So here we're gonna put and host name As you can see, the username was As you can see, name. As you can see, the username was backup ADM. That was the account. All right. In the next paragraph, we are investigating the internal network scanning. Internal network scanning is where the attacker scans for the existence of other hosts. So now the attacker has compromised a specific host, say it is DC01. Now the attacker wants to know about other hosts on the network to compromise. So they will do what is called as internal network scan. To be able to discover internal network scan, we're going to have to change the index into packet beat. Packet beat will contain all the network information. So we're going to switch to packet beat here, and we're going to refresh with an empty query. Okay, now we're going to have to execute a query here. So in the given task, we are given the network parameters. This is the subnet of the given network. Okay, here we are discovering, or we're trying to find out, the network scanning attempts on ports below 1024. I'm going to copy this command because it has the network information that we need. Let's take a closer look at this command here, or the query. As you can see, the source IP, or the source subnet, matches the destination subnet. And this is because we are trying to investigate the internal network scan. In internal network scan, the source IP is within the same subnet as the destination IP. Okay, and destination port rate is less than 1024 because we're looking to find out the internal scanning attempts on the most common used ports. So we have here around 41,000 hits. So what is the outcome we're looking to extract here? What's the outcome we're looking for here? The outcome we're looking for is to find out the IP address that is as internal scan and then we're gonna go to visualize. In the visualize, we create a new visualization, select lens, and from the drop down here we select a saved query, internal scan. This loads up the query I have typed earlier, and then I can refresh, convert to table, and then I can refresh, convert to table because it's appropriate form of visualization for such query. Now we're gonna start picking up the fields. So first the source IP. And then we want the destination IP address. Now based on the table, we can see that the highest count is coming from this IP address. We can just type n.exe. So we have around 17 hits. Now we're gonna add a new column here for the parent process. Okay. machine, you're looking to match the relationships between the objects and between different objects such as the users, groups, and computers. Usually when we get access to an Active Directory machine, we launch a tool called SharpHound to match or to find the relationships between the users, groups, and computers. So to start the investigation with Active Directory, we're gonna have first to make sure we are on the winlog beat, okay? And we're gonna update. We're here. So we have around 49,000 events. So we're gonna start investigating the use of such tools such as SharpHound or LoadHound. But first, to do that, we're gonna have first to look at the LDAP connections, because in Active Directory environment, LDAP protocol is used most of the time. Let's look at the LDAP connections, and specifically we're gonna look at the processes that are spawned with the LDAP using the LDAP protocol. So first we're gonna look at winlog event underscore ID, and I'm gonna look for the network connections, not the processes. The network connections on the LDAP source IP, it's going to be the subnet that we have 10 or 0/8. And the destination IP is going to be on the same subnet. And lastly, destination port. So I'm going to copy it from here. Okay, so here we're hunting the network connections on the subnet here, and the ports destination port is either one of these ports indicating an LDAP connection, and we're going to filter this process because this is the main process that is used to generate the administrative LDAP connections. We're going to exclude it here from the query because we want to look for malicious uses of LDAP scanning. So we're going to update. And we have nothing. One event ID 3. Let's do that one more time. So 10 hits. Let's do that one more. Let's do that one more time. So 10. Let's do that one more time. So 10 hits. So process execute. executable is partial here most of the time. So what is this? This is the network connections, specifically the LDAP connections on port 389 or port 636. Most of the time, or most of the entries are R389. We want to see the process that is initiating these connections. Remember that MMC is the executable that in the column. We're gonna keep the parent command line, parent executable. Okay, keep this as is. And then we're gonna type win log event ID 1 and user name system. Here we're looking for process creation events where the username is system. We have around 258 hits. Before doing that, we want to make sure that the parent user here is not system. We're looking for a case where the user or the parent user is low privileged account and the subsequent user is system. That's how privilege escalation occurs. You start with low privileged account and then move into a higher privileged account. The username here needs to be system, so we can add an exclusion here and not when log event underscore data. I think we can find this here. Parent user. Okay, we have parent user. We can then use this to filter all of the instances wherein the parent user is net authority system. Because as I told you, when the parent user is net authority system, okay, it means that the user initiated the query or triggered the event was actually the administrator. We don't want this. We want instances where the initiating user is not system, okay, discovering low privileged attempts on the system. So we can update and see if we have matches. We have 6 hits. I'm gonna remove these for now. And we want to focus on the users. Username is here. When event data parent user. We can add subject username as well. Okay, that's for now. Let's see. Let's focus on the Okay, that's the correct answer. So we have the MD5 hash. And that's the command that was executed by spoofer. And look at this. This is the main culprit, the PowerShell command that spawned spoofer. And it has encoded values, which confirms the suspicion that indeed this might be a malicious process. Now apparently we have hashes here, SHA hash and MD5. We can take this and go to virus total. In the search, paste the hash. We can confirm the suspicion that this is a hack tool. Namely, it is print in the search, paste the hash. We can confirm the suspicion that this is a hack tool. Namely, it is print spoofer. So it looks like the attacker has exploited the print nightmare vulnerability. Okay, here it shows the executable that was saved in the registry, and that is the or the name of the service. As you can see, among the executables, we have one named as update. Let's take a look at the registry path. So we look for registry path. Okay, here we find the path in the registry that was changed. As you can see, in the path we have the service name. So here we have snmptr and we have spooler. These were the to find MD5 hash of this binary. We're gonna have to focus on the name of the binary in addition to process creation events around this binary. So here we can say win log event ID 1 and maybe process name update. We only want the MD5 hash. So we start with the first event. Let's look for an MD5 hash. And this is the MD5 hash. So we're Exactly. And we have other techniques as well, such as DC sync attacks. We're going to investigate them after we finish with this. Okay, so now let's investigate this one, LSAS credential dumping. Usually, when an attacker dumps credentials using the LSAS process, it's the process responsible for the credentials, by the way, or authentication. And when the attacker attempts to dump credentials, they will target this process. Most of the time, the attacker uses Mimikatz to accomplish this. In order to use Mimikatz, the attacker will need to launch Mimikatz, meaning they will eventually launch a process. So here we're looking for process creation events again. And here we need to find out what kind of artifacts that Mimikatz leaves when it is executed, or what kind of strings Mimikatz uses in its command line. So basically, or fortunately for us, the author has them here for us. We're gonna just copy them. These strings are found in the command line when Mimikatz is executed. We can update and look for such signs. And we have 3 hits. Okay, let's remove these for now. And we're going to add command line. Okay, as can be seen here, guys, we have the process CMD attempted to dump credentials using Mimikatz from the LSAS or LSAS credentials. It can be very clear that Mimikatz was used here in more than one command, and that's the main process, WMI. Okay. Event underscore ID, it's gonna be 11 file creation events, and file path DMP. DMP is the extension of the file that has been created. It's the extension when else as credentials are dumped. Let's see what kind of file. What's the name of the file that was dumped? So as you can uncover this query user. We're gonna look at the users. User, we have user here. User domain, gonna add this, but no values. User domain, gonna add this. User, we have user here. User domain. Gonna add this, but no values. When log event, that's a parent user. Subject username. Okay, and let's take a look at the properties or the access properties. Okay, and let's take a look at the properties or the access properties. Okay, let's remove this. As you can see, we said, guys, that these identifiers are found when a DC synchronization happens or domain controller synchronization happens. Thing is, these identifiers are only or can only be used by privileged accounts like administrators. One and user.name backup. Okay, remove these, and we're going to add command line. You can also add a processes that the account backup ADM has executed. Scrolling down to look for unusual processes. And there you go. There is one command line process executed using WMI privilege. And that's the exact command. Looks like it's writing the output of the command to the admin share.
you.